Alright, so iFlight has sent a bunch of their new electronics here from their new BLITZ line. I don't think I've got everything here. There's probably a bunch of other things I haven't seen yet. I'll link the whole series down in the video description if you want to check out some of the other stuff. It's just sort of a small sample of things that are out, and if you're looking for these in future builds, let me know if you have any suggestions on what you'd like to see these parts in, and I will consider that for future videos. I'm not really sure right now because I got a lot of other parts I got to test out as well. So if there's something you're really dying to see this in, let me know. Primarily this new line I think is out for the fact that the MPU6000 gyro is now dead and gone and buried. And I know a lot of you guys out there are like, well, FPV's dead, the MPU6000 is dead. Well, I think that's probably an over-exaggeration. Yeah, the MPU6000 gyro is nice, but the new gyros can be tuned if you have the right filtering, and I believe all of these in the BLITZ series use the BMI 270 gyro, which is I think made by a company called Bosch. And in the new 4.3, Betaflight 4.3, in the configurator, there's a bunch of presets, and in one of the presets you can apply the filtering for this particular gyro that will help you with the tuning. So not all is lost, and unfortunately the MPU6000 is going to be gone in all of our flight controllers going forward. That's just the sad reality of it. Just have to kind of accept it. But you know, there are workarounds, and you just have to put the right filtering in place to get the stuff to work. I know there's another one like the ICM series. I don't like that gyro as much. I think that's more sensitive to vibrations from the drone compared to the Bosch. But, you know, there's pros and cons. I'm not going to get into all that in this video. We're just going to take a look at these parts really quickly. I'll just flash up some specs here on the screen and maybe point out some interesting, if there's anything interesting that I want to talk about, and then let's see how much any of these things weigh. Let's go ahead and get started here. So let's see, we've got this first part. This is a 1.6 watts VTX, part of their BLITZ line, 1600 milliwatts. Kind of crazy. I don't know if that is legal anywhere. Obviously, I think you're going to need a ham license if you're in the US. I don't know if 1.6 watts is legal in the US regardless of a ham license or not. I think it's not legal. So I'm not sure where this will be sold. Probably, you know, it'll be sold on the iFlight site, which is sold out of China, but probably not any of the US stores. But obviously, with a huge power output, you can have a giant heatsink. And this is a very heavy, probably aluminum heatsink here. You got your buttons, pretty thick. You got your connector there. Obviously, your wire harness uses MMCX connector. It comes with a SMA pigtail as well as just a regular MMCX antenna, but pretty big. Yeah, again, I don't know where this would be legal to use. Let me know if it's legal to use in your country. There you got another one here. This is the BLITZ F411RX. So this one's using Betaflight 4.3. And there's another one here. It's also of the same series, the BLITZ F411RX, but it's on 4.2.11. And the reason they're basically both the 1S whip all-in-ones with the video transmitter and the receiver, but the one with 4.3 comes with built-in Express LRS on SPI, whereas the 4.211 is CC2500, which is basically FreeSky D8, D16 built in. So here's what the board looks like. It's got the cross shape here. Again, you know, these have the BMI 270 gyro on there, USB, a vertical USB port there. It's micro USB. The PH 2.0 connector is already soldered on, and it's the folded pin type, if you're wondering. You got your typical motor plugs for 1S setup, and there's some of your pads there for the different UARTs. It looks like it's a UART2 that's available here. You got your video transmitter here, and there's a plug here, I guess it goes to the camera. And then you have UFL connector for the video transmitter antenna, and those are included in the box there, just a whip antenna. Got your rubber grommets. And then this one has the built-in express LRS receiver with the tower antenna or the SMD antenna. Alright, so this is how much it weighs. About 5.9 grams. And this is the CC2500 version or FreeSky D8D16. Basically the same. Got your video transmitter, whip antenna is already on there, PH 2.0 battery lead, and this one comes with the built-in FreeSky receiver, and that's the antenna connector, and that's over here. So here's the little antenna that you can pop on. It's another micro FL, but it's a smaller version. And this one weighs a little bit more at 6.14 grams. Alright, so these are some 30 by 30 parts. F7 flight controller, and I believe this is a BLITZ 32 ESC. So this one here is the BLITZ E55, so 55 amp, 4-in-1. Yeah, it's got 32.8 BLE or BLE 32 ESC and firmware on here. So it's not 32.9, but it's pretty easy to update that. Here's what the board looks like. So you got your nice motor pads here on the corners, which is something I like. I think that's a trend you're going to be seeing. Makes it a little bit easier to build with the wires going straight in versus kind of curling around to the side. And then you got this nice big capacitor on here, 470, 35 volt microfarad. And then you have a shunt here on the bottom for your current sensor, battery lead, big pads here on the bottom, and yeah, just on the bottom, nothing on the top. But the motor pads are on the bottom and top. And this is what the bottom looks like. A lot of capacitors here for handling your EMF spikes. And then over here is the plug. So just come with the wire harness. Yeah, got your rubber grommets. You got your wire harnesses to the flight controller. Got an XD60. And then you got your long M3 screws, nuts, and rubber grommets. But there's no soldering pads for the connector there, so I think that's pretty much it. You have the connector and that's it, no solder pads. So that for some people is going to be a deal breaker, of course. This is the 30 by 30 F7 flight controller. And yeah, BLITZ F7, BMI 270 gyro, of course. 4.211 is the firmware that's currently on here. And this is the firmware target iFlight BLITZ F722. So we got the board, rubber grommets here. You got your wiring harnesses. Looks like this is a DGI connector for the air unit, so it looks like it will probably have a 9-volt regulator. Yeah, it has 2 regulators on there. Probably a 5-volt and a 9-volt. You got your black box data. This is the bottom of the board here. You got all your connectors. And you do have a bunch of wire connectors here. USB-C, and it does have these plugs, little rubber silicone plugs. Nice to have once you put this into your build. It'll waterproof that so it doesn't get water in there. And this is the top of the board. You got your Betaflight OSD. Nice big pads for soldering up your wires. I kind of like that. Anyway, so flight controller weighs 7.8 grams, and the 4-in-1 EC weighs 15.25 grams. Alright, so these are the mini versions of that, obviously with probably less features. Probably the flight controller doesn't have the DGI 9-volt regulator on there, but this is the 20 by 20. You see the mini E55, 32.8 on the firmware again, and basically 20 by 20 version of that same design. Motor pads here on the corners, on both the top and bottom, and the battery lead goes on the bottom here. You got your large capacitor, the connector there, and no separate solder pads for those connector points. And then you just have your rubber grommets again, your M3 screws for mounting, and an XD60, just like on the 30 by 30. And here is the F7 flight controller, again USB-C with the silicone plug, and yeah, much smaller, so I'm pretty sure it's not going to have the 9-volt regulator. You just see one regulator on here, and then you have all your connectors, Fairly decent sized pads for soldering up some wires here, but it looks like most of these are going to be serviced through these connectors. Got your rubber grommets, and then your bunch of wire harnesses here. Alright, so the flight controller weighs 5.22 grams, and the 4-in-1 EC weighs 10.7 grams. Okay, so yeah, that's I'm going to cover it for this video. Let me know what you guys want to see this in terms of future builds. If you have any suggestions, do let me know. I want to let you guys know that I do have the Commando 8. This is the final version. I have the pre-production version as well, which is a little bit different from this one, which I did not make a video on. So if you saw some other videos out there, those videos were on the pre-production version, so you probably want to wait to watch this video so you have the full details on the ones that are actually shipping to customers. I do have quite a bit to say about this radio, things I like, things I don't like, etc., but not going to be covering that in this video. You'll have to wait for that one, and make sure your notifications are turned on in case you're curious about this radio. I do have quite a lot of interesting stuff to say about this one. Okay, that's going to do it for this video. Talk to you guys later.